What is up, Wellness Patriots? I'm here today with my good friend, Little Bird Jess.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks
I
for
appreciate
having me.
You're welcome. So, well, actually, I'm here at her house. So, thanks for us being here together.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk to you about one of the most important and impactful things on our health. And I bet you won't even guess what it is off the top of your head. So, I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think is the top, I don't know, in your guys' mind, think like the five most impactful things on your health? Think about it right now. So I bet you're thinking, oh, drinking a lot of water, getting enough sleep at night. What's what?
Eating right.
Yeah, exercise, right? Well, we are here to talk to you today about warm social connections. That is actually one of the top contributors to physical health, even emotional health, and spiritual health. So warm social connections can have positive impacts on our health, and loneliness and isolation can actually have serious detrimental impacts on our health. So I just heard a fact recently that really got my attention, according to Dr. Robert Waldinger, and he actually appeared on a podcast called Heal Thyself, and so I recommend checking out that podcast. And he has done a lot of studies on the impacts of social connections on people's health, and he said that loneliness and isolation can be as negative on your physical health as smoking half a pack of cigarettes a day or being obese. Another way that loneliness and isolation can have negative impacts on our health relate to cortisol and stress. So when we feel like we're alone and something stressful happens, we just have to like internalize it, and the cortisol just runs rampant in our body. Whereas, for me, if something stressful happens in my life, one of the first things I do is I call little bird Jess here, and she knows I'm there for her too. And we like to process a lot of things together, and I always hang up the phone feeling heard, validated, and like I got something out of my system and off my chest, and like and out there, so I don't have to carry it around by myself anymore, and we just process things, and that makes me feel a lot better. Do you want to add anything about that?
Yeah, just I agree that when, I'm feeling down about something, I give Elaine a call or someone else that I am close to or feel comfortable with, and I can run it by them and get some, they listen, and I'm a good listener as well for them, and even advice sometimes, they'll give me advice, and I just feel better instead of like sitting there with it and, for instance, going on social media or, putting on a TV show or, just not dealing with it, and then later on feeling down. So it's just really good to reach out to someone that I'm comfortable with. Yeah.
Right. People, our good friends that we trust, can help us face our problems and work through them rather than not trying to numb it in some way, or like you say, turning on a movie or something is a really good example, just trying to avoid it, but it always will come back and bite you in the butt, I tell you, if you don't face it and deal with it. And our friends are great resources for that. So I feel like right now in society we're living in a time where a lot of us do feel very isolated, misunderstood, alone. And so what are some things that contribute to that? What do you think is one thing that contributes to that?
I think, when COVID happened, for instance, a lot of us got really isolated. Things closed down, the kids couldn't go to school, some people lost their jobs, and we kind of got to a place that we hadn't been to, and we looked to social media for comfort, and we were looking outside of ourselves for comfort, and that has made it hard for even kids and myself to reach back out and get more involved. It's happened very slowly for me, but it's happening. I'm involved in my church, and I have one-on-one friendships where I spend time in person, and have people over, go to their house, take a walk out in nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree that the whole cocoa thing, when that happened, it really did encourage a lot of isolation, and I believe that there were some ill intents behind that. I think the government and powers that be, and there's global elite, people that are at play in the world right now. They have a vested interest in dividing us, and it's been like this throughout history. Divide and rule has always been the tactic. It always has been, because united we stand, divided we fall. So of course,
New World Order,
they would want to divide us so that we can be more easily manipulated. And I just made a comment to her before we started that I feel like during the whole like cocoa shutdowns and stuff, that I felt like we were in an abusive relationship with the government, and because isolating people is something that abusers do. It's a common tactic that abusers do, because then you are more emotionally and mentally manipulated. You're more susceptible to manipulation and control, and they want control over us. And so I think also during that time of the shutdowns for kids and for us as well, we were all on Zoom all the time. Zoom actually made billions of dollars off of the whole thing, and it conditioned us to be on screens more, right?
Yes, and our kids. I mean, my boy, who's almost 15, always on the screen. I mean, he goes to school, but he's addicted.
A lot of our
He's on it.
A lot of our kids phone, are these days.
His games.
It's super common for that. And so that was one thing that we were talking about is sorry, I'm getting a notification. My big thumb in the video. Sorry about that.
Real life, folks.
Yeah. Anyways,
see, there's distraction. Always distraction. Unless you put it on Do Not Disturb.
Speaking of which, yeah, that's Facebook right there.
Yeah.
And so big tech, which is Facebook, and the media, are always attempting to get some type of emotional reaction out of us, and a lot of the main names in the media, New York Times, etc. Then you have CNN, you name it, they're all owned by the same few people on both sides, Fox News included. They put out these headlines to try to get an emotional reaction out of people, and a lot of people don't even go much farther than reading the headlines, right? So, and then we get on, Little Bird Jess and I, we both think that Facebook is like extra wild.
Definitely. Out of experience.
Yeah. So, if you put out something that's your opinion and somebody disagrees, then a lot of people think that they have the right to basically, it's almost like they mentally attack you, and it's often all these people that like don't say hi, wouldn't normally say hi, don't normally even like reach out to you, but then the moment you post something they disagree with, it's like rah, ree, right?
Yes.
And I was saying,
it becomes political very quickly,
and things that aren't even political become political. And
pushing views on people, this is my view, your view's wrong. Yeah.
And I was saying, I'm all for a heated debate myself. I like debating. I will debate somebody, but it's like, maybe that should be done in a way where both people know that that's what's happening, and not just like coming at someone all of a sudden, just because they have some opinion or like some product. So Lil Bird Jess, she's really, well, we both are, but she's been talking a lot about Made in America, so how important it is to support Made in America products. And for example, she posted a recommendation for a certain product, and it was about, I'm sure y'all could figure out what I'm talking about, but it was about pillows, okay? The post was about pillows, and it turned into...
Which they sell lots of other things besides pillows, so this was just...
Or whatever, yeah.
Part of the name of the company was Pillow, okay.
And you have no idea who that is, right? Yeah. But anyway...
I was excited to find another company that supports Made in America. It's just, it's exciting when you find that, because it's so rare. So.
Right. And so it turned into this whole let's bash Lil Bird Jess fest in the comments, about like what people are assuming her political views must be because she recommended one company.
Yeah.
So that's just an example. Anything else you want to add?
Oh, wow. There's so many things. And I just call it division collision, because it's just, how can we separate? It's more like, there was a time where I started to just express myself no matter what, not caring what people thought, my religious views, I threw in some political stuff, but not much, because I try not to get political because of the attacks, and I don't want to, I didn't want to offend family, or, it gets into like worrying about what people, how they feel, and it just didn't used to be that way in life. People could speak and have different opinions, and, freedom of speech, and just, just have different opinions, and it was okay. Now it's like, if you have a different opinion, someone's going to block you, never speak to you again, criticize you. And I just, it came to a point just recently where I decided to deactivate my account. I was done, I was done playing the division collision game, and I didn't feel like it was a safe place for me to be open about my beliefs or anything. So if I want to do that, I can do that with Elaine right now, with you. I can do that, out in my church. I can do that, getting involved in local groups, so I don't have to hide behind a screen and try to, this just for me, this is my experience. It doesn't work for me to express myself that way anymore. I need to be active. So that's what I'm working towards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder if she'll be more connected or less after getting off Facebook.
Right. Right.
I think probably more.
Isolating.
Mm-hmm.
It became very isolating. Like, it's supposed to be a place where we communicate, we get close, we share our lives together. And it's like, even Facebook has all these rules, and like, they'll yank you off if you say something that they don't agree with, or because they're afraid they're going to offend the other people, or whatever it is. And it's just, this is not America. This is not how America is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just become this, like, we've become like puppets. And I am not going to play that game. I'm not playing a puppet game, are you?
Right, exactly.
I'm not playing the puppet game.
Not around here, partner.
No.
We ain't doing that around here.
We're not doing that. We're going to get our little butts active. We're going to go out in the community and start like doing stuff where we can actually make a difference, because Facebook's not the place for me. And I'm not criticizing Facebook, because, you know, there's some good things about it, but
there's pros and cons, but we're kind of talking about the way it's one channel in which division happens and isolation happens. So in a few other things, people are more apt to staying at home and getting on Facebook, for example, or other social media outlets, because they can just stay home and do that rather than go out and have, you know, social interactions that way, because you kind of feel like you're having it, but you're really not, you know. But then you get on and you see other people's social interactions, like they're posting things they're doing in real life, and you might feel left out. You might start comparing yourself. A lot of comparison, I know, happens, which causes people to feel down really sometimes.
True. That's like one of the biggest things, Elaine, is like, yeah, feeling really, you know, feeling like you're not good enough. And they have these ads always telling you how you can get more fit, or, you know, I mean, I've
more
seen
emotional
ads
reactions.
that are so offensive, like, why, you know, be so big and, you know, eat so much, you know, it's like stuff like that.
I mean, they're trying to make you feel like you're not enough unless you buy their product. It's another emotional reaction. And so, and then you think, okay, maybe that's a solution. I spend money on this and I might feel more fulfilled, but you never do. And then you're also not contributing to something that is sustainable and will make you feel more fulfilled, which, hint, hint, that's Jesus. But
yes.
But yeah, and then these ads are often not only, it's never going to be enough, and they're always going to be garnering these, you know, these emotional reactions from you, but it's often it hooks your eye, like these clothes or something, right?
Catchy.
And they're always like made in China. A lot of them are made in China. And have you noticed she pointed out there's different, it looks like it's different companies, but it's the same.
It's the
same one, and the same clothes and the same items, and they're all very cheap. Sometimes you order it and you don't even, like, your order doesn't even come.
Yeah.
Like,
or you get something completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what I ordered versus what I got. And, you know, and that just contributes more to sending things overseas to China, which is a huge problem right now.
Especially now.
And it has negative impacts on the environment and on our health. And then we're wearing clothes that are probably polyester, probably have all these chemicals that they're allowed to put in products overseas that they probably aren't allowed to put in our products here in America. And, you know, these things can cause cancer. They're dumping things into the ocean over there. And, you know, but we're kind of being emotionally manipulated. It's an attempt to emotionally manipulate us while we're on an outlet like Facebook
or TikTok,
purchase these products. And then TikTok's a whole other...
there's a whole nother one. And those guys, that originated, I think, in China. I think they created TikTok. And supposedly people in China aren't even allowed to watch the stuff that they let us watch.
Yeah, they show their kids
educational things, but they show us ads, entertainment.
Well, a lot of it is sexual and
sexual.
Not just sexual, but it's like weird
derogatory
stuff.
Too.
It's like bizarre sexual things that they are showing to your kids. So just look at their For You feed if you don't believe us. And then my son shows me the Snapchat is another. There's a For You feed on Snapchat, And it's like you scroll through and all of them are like saying things. Now, excuse my derogatory language here, but it's like, oh, she has sex this way. And it's like this teen, some sexual thing about a teen. It's trying to normalize these things. And this plays into what we're talking about here with social connections and isolation, because another reason that they do this is to skew what we perceive of as normal and socially acceptable. And a lot of times for different reasons with our boys and with our girls too, but with our boys, it like teaches them to objectify women more, to get hooked on porn. And you don't have to these days. You don't have to these days log on to a porn site to watch it. It's on Snapchat. Like, you're just going on some app thinking you're going to like have a cute little chat with a friend, and it disappears, and it's fun, whatever. And then you go, oh, what's this For You page? And it's like, it's one thread away from porn is what it is. And then it creates these dopamine reactions in your brain, and then you're hooked on that. And now you can't have a normal relationship. Now you're going to end up being single because you can't hold down a relationship with your girlfriend because you're constantly looking at other women, or you're hooked on porn, or you're hooked on these things. And it changes the way people's brains work, and it's happening to our children. On the girls' side, where the girls are being taught that, it's liberating somehow to show your ass on the internet, and it's going
your breasts,
or your body, and it's going to make you feel more free, and just give this up to like these stranger males on the internet. And really that's going to cause you in the long run to be depressed and alone again, because
and
you're
suicidal.
and you're not going to have it's all an attack on the nuclear family too. So these young people, they're growing up thinking a nuclear family isn't the way to go. And so what do you end up? You end up single. You end up having, giving your body away to countless people, which is super depressing.
You end up having only relationships online or on text or through some porn site, or, and they're not relationships. They're not relating. They're, artificial.
And it's it's like literally sometimes people think people have thought they were in a relationship, and they were really talking to AI.
Right. Yeah, it's concerning, especially for our children. So yeah, it's really important. I think all of this is so toxic, and like I can feel the toxicity as we talk about it.
A lot of it's coming from China too, like you mentioned with the TikTok. Well, I sound like an old lady. TikTok.
I can get really political about that, because it's like, I do believe that China has an agenda with the U.S., and we've participated in it because we have given them our money. We have sent our jobs there. They make our things. We've become dependent on them, which is very, very dangerous, especially when they are going to be going to war with Taiwan and threatening to take us to war. What's the best way to get to them? Don't buy their stuff. Don't buy it. Like, just absolutely refuse.
Boycott China.
Make
America great again.
And I have nothing against Chinese food. I have nothing against a Chinese person. What I have against is the Chinese communists. That's who I have an issue with. And if you want to find out more information about that, you can follow the ACLJ. Which I can get a link.
Yeah.
Maybe Elaine can
we'll put a link in the description for ACLJ.
They are awesome.
To talk about that too.
They'll keep you educated. And these guys, they get in there and they work. They make a difference. They try to change things. So they're lawyers. They've worked with people in Congress. They're legit. It's a legit site. It's really cool stuff. So
yeah, they are. And so so that's kind of what we were thinking about in terms of social media. Facebook is especially wild with the personal interactions, I've noticed. And so those are some, negative things. it can be positive.
Yeah, there are.
I mean, we're on a
positive
screen
things,
right now, and like what I'm trying to do here is build a community, a wellness community.
Yeah.
I think that, like we say, they
we're
want
not
to divide
victims.
us.
We're not victims, right? We
Right.
can create a positive thing, but there's other forces involved, and if you want to get deep down into what that force is, that's the adversary. That's not Jesus. It's the opposite, right? It's the darker side of, you know, whatever
For
feeds
real.
that, you know, that's what's working behind the scenes of all this stuff, you know. And if we focus, we want to go there, focus on Jesus, focus on God, focus on being part out there. The adversary wants to keep us closed and isolated, right?
Yeah.
So if we say
really
no,
a spiritual battle.
We're not going to participate in this in this division collision. It's interesting I said divine. We want to participate in the divine, but we don't want to be part of this division collision. And in order to do that, we have to say no. We're not going to participate in the Chinese communists. We're in their agenda. We're not going to participate in the division collision agenda. We're not going to participate as slaves to the media. We're not going to be victims. We refuse to be victims.
We both have friends and family that have completely opposite political views than we do, and we love them dearly. And I would never expect everybody to think exactly the way I do. And so we have to realize when we're kind of leaning in that direction, you know. And the podcast I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Heal Thyself, there's a lot of things, a lot of guests they have on there, and a lot of things said on that podcast that I disagree with, and it's honestly far more liberal than I would prefer. But at the same time, I don't shut myself off to other sides of things. I don't shut myself off to other sides of information. That's a dangerous thing to do, and that's how people, you know, create this cognitive dissonance that's going on with a lot of people. And this cognitive dissonance and emotional investment in our side of things, as if this is all one big football game or something, is what causes more division. So,
and weren't you saying something about dopamine? And
I think that somebody said this.
I think it's really true what she's going to say here.
I think that people even become addicted to some of these interactions, and they become addicted to being offended about things. So they seek out things to be offended about, and then they have this super strong emotional reaction, and it also, again, releases cortisol in your body. But then because it's this super strong emotional reaction that affects your brain and the chemicals going on in your body, then your brain even becomes addicted to it. So I think people become addicted to these negative social interactions, like on Facebook and stuff. I think they actually become addicted to it. And
they also become addicted to how many likes they get.
Oh, that too, right? The little red notification and stuff like that.
Yes, we're constantly being pulled. I had to turn my notifications off on my phone because every company, everything on my phone wants to notify me.
There's so many distractions, and we need to be focusing on the mission right now. So,
what's the mission, Elaine?
What is the mission? I'm glad I said that.
I'm glad you did too.
Hint, hint. So anyway, I say so a lot, and I'm working on that. It bugs me. I watch my own videos.
You are, and we love you. So
oh,
it's okay.
Thank you.
Some people may not like that, but hopefully you'll still watch.
Right.
We would watch it if we didn't. Yeah, right? Anyway.
And my brain just thinks so many thoughts. It's like, which thought am I going to say right now? So I say so. Anyway, some solutions, right? And what is the mission? We need to focus on being more connected and having social interactions. And also what I was saying is, even with the social media, using it as a tool, right? And not letting it use you.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
I think it can be a tool. And that's what I'm trying to do with this channel here. I want people to unite. And in the spirit of that, why don't y'all like go in the comments and say hi to each other and put a comment down, and let's get a conversation going. And what do you do in IRL, right? In real life to have social interactions? One first thing that comes to my mind is to be of service. We can see a lot of problems going on in society and everything, right? So why don't we find solutions and find some way to be of service? Love thy neighbor. Bake your neighbor some cookies and leave them on their doorstep with a little card. They might be afraid you're trying to poison them.
These days, I mean, right?
But, you know,
and even if you don't like them.
Acts of service.
Especially if you don't like them, right? Especially.
Pray for people I don't like? No, thanks. Oh, wait. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Engage with your interests, right? So, kickboxing. Take a kickboxing class. Pottery. You know, it's pretty... I don't know, probably a common solution to say, go take a class. But there's a reason why a lot of people say it, because it is a great way to meet a lot of people. Yeah, painting. What are some other things?
You can have people over in a potluck. You can
have a dinner party.
Party. You can, even if you can't afford to go to a class, you could have a class at your house.
Teach a class.
Or say, hey, I want to start doing this. Do you want to come over and do this with me? Or
women's support group, crafting,
getting involved in your community events. I mean, start participating in the city, you know, politics. Get involved in your local...
Go to city council meetings.
Yeah, get involved. Find out what's going on in your community. You know, how can you participate?
And one of the biggest ways I've found community recently is with my church and my church community. And we have fabulous events we do. We had this fabulous Christmas dinner, women's Christmas dinner. There's things for the men too, and there's Bible studies, there's prayer groups. I'm volunteering in the children's ministry, working with kids. I've already met a handful of other adults too that I would totally hang out with them on a day-to-day basis. And through the events I've gone to through my church, I've met new friends. I have people that support me, that now it's like, oh, if I need someone to pick up one of my kids or something, that they'll go and pick them up, you know, help me out as a single mom.
Yeah, a church is really a great place to find community and to be part of the solution, and to work together and help each other, especially if you're a single parent. Like both Elaine and I are single parents, so it helps to be involved in a community where other people are willing to take some of that extra load off for you once in a while, you know, and you can do the same in some other way.
And I love the church people, right?
Yeah,
because
just awesome.
The world is so worldy.
It's worldy
during the week, and
that's kind of the point of our discussion. Is we've learned to become worldly, and a lot of people have lost that connection with God. You know, and even if you don't really know what God is out there, you know, if you're open to wanting to know, one of the best ways is to get out and get involved, you know, and start to connect with people, because people are probably the closest, you know, that interacting with each other creates some type of unity, right? And can help feed the positive rather than the negative. So
absolutely. God's always there for you. You're never alone, too. Jesus is there, just reaching his hand right out to you. And it's easy. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to, you know, yes, read the Bible, but if you haven't yet, then he's still there for you. So, by the way, just a little, I wasn't expecting to say that, but you're just never alone, you know.
You're not.
In general, anyway. But with, you know, humans, another way to connect is, you know, you can connect if you have family to connect with, remember to do that, because I know I'm really bad with that. I'm really bad with, like, I'll go months without. I have aunts, uncles, cousins, my niece and nephew.
Yeah.
You know, and a good way to not let too much time go by is scheduling phone calls, even, or schedule texts. Put a reminder on your phone, and it's time to text Uncle Bob. It's time to call your niece.
You could be making their day, or even send a card.
Instead of scrolling. Oh, yes, write letters. I love it. Print out photographs and send them in the mail.
That's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Write to people that are in prison.
Oh, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if we could put in a link to...
There, I know of a link. There's the Jan Sixers. There's Jan Sixers that are still in prison, I believe, that you can write to. So I know of that, but I don't know of any. I'm sure we could research and find other.
Yeah, how can I support? You know, how can I connect with people in prison? How can I make someone's life brighter? You know, it serves you too. It doesn't just serve them. It serves you. You'll find a deep joy and satisfaction, and that'll bring you closer to God. It really, really will.
It's so funny how the big trend these days is self-love and self this and self that. And I'm not saying
you, boo. Do you.
I'm not saying, like, don't love yourself.
Yeah.
But it's really self-focused. It's super selfish, I think, and self-focused. And that's actually not what's going to make you happy. I find myself the happiness, because you're talking about what you were just saying just made me think of that, because when I'm serving my children, serving my communities, or serving my church, then I feel the happiest. Also because I'm just not in my own head making problems and making things and stress that I don't need to. So, and it's the opposite of Jesus too. There's so many ways I notice the media in the world trying to take our focus away from that, through a lot of, like, new age things that are trendy, but also by, like, this whole self-love trend and focus on yourself thing, because Jesus picked up his cross and he sacrificed for us, and we are to follow in his footsteps and to try to be like that. We can't be him, but
we won't be him, but we'll at least try to share the light that he's given us.
Yeah, good way to be the light and the salt.
Yeah, that's all we can do. We can't make anyone turn to Jesus, but we're just sharing the joy and the light that's been given to us. And we see so much darkness out there, and it's really easy to get caught up in it, you know, and that's what was happening to me, as I was feeling pulled by the darkness. And maybe it's because I'm such a light these days. I have to protect myself, but not be afraid. Just be a Jesus warrior and be willing to let go of some of those earthly, worldly comforts and step out of the comfort zone and be willing to take a risk to talk to someone you wouldn't normally talk to, or do something for someone else, carry some granola bars in your car and give some to the homeless, when you see them. I don't give money because I know where that goes, but I'll give money to a big organization, but I won't give it to a person on the street. I'll give them food, everyone needs food.
Yeah.
So.
Love it. Yes. Another thing, just trying to say hi to people, little interactions here and there. Say hi to your neighbors. You walk outside and your neighbor is outside. Why not say hi? Or in the grocery store, you see somebody looking at something on the shelf. Talk about, oh, have you tried that food? Oh, yeah, I like that too. Farmers markets. Meet some farmers in your area and find a good connection for produce or meat or eggs. So just trying to have more day-to-day interactions and conversations with people. Just say hi.
It's taking a risk. I know it is. But what's, the worst thing that could happen is really in our heads. It's not necessarily true what we think. Our fear, the adversary is always trying to get us to follow him or it, whatever it is. And, it's very distracting. So just bringing that focus back to each other and to what needs to be done, sometimes the simplest things. And and there was something else I was going to say, but I think it's just left me.
You were saying something, and then it made me say, what you water grows. Do you remember that?
Oh, the plants. Okay, so I can't water my plants on Facebook, right? I actually need to go over to them with a can of water and water them
physically.
And when I do that, they show how happy they are. I know that they don't feel like we do, but they show.
They perk up.
You can see it, right?
They do, yeah.
And it's an interaction, and it feels good to do it. You're feeding it, you're taking care of it, you're nurturing it, and then it nurtures you. So it's the same thing as like when we go out in the world. We can be part of the solution or part of the problem. And the other thing I was thinking when you were speaking is like, hey, say there's someone out there that totally has different views than you. Make a point to be nice to them. Make a point to step out of your comfort zone and go and talk to them. Because, like I said, they want to divide us. So why let them? Why let the adversary divide
100%,
us?
You'd be surprised how much common ground you can find with someone.
Yeah.
We're not so different.
We're really not. I mean, I've got family members that we just don't agree on a lot. My mom and I don't talk politics, but we have a deep love for each other and understanding. We just don't talk about it, and that's okay. We still spend time together.
She's a great person. I love her.
Yeah. So
that's about it, I guess.
That's it. I'm so grateful you had me. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. And another thing that popped in my mind too was I spoke about the whole self-love trend going on, and I do think it's aimed at us, getting us to focus more on ourselves and not be of service and not focus on other people so much, which I think can be destructive. That being said, taking care of yourself though and caring about wellness and your health will put you in a better position to have better interactions with people, because you do need to water your own plant as well and water yourself as well. You still do need to do that. Getting enough sleep at night, eating enough, make sure you're not running on empty, and make sure you're not leaving the house hungry and driving around all crazy, okay?
Yeah, we have to fill up our tanks just like a car has to fill up, or we have to fill up the car.
Yeah, right. I didn't even catch that. But yeah, because I think a lot of negative interactions happen because someone accidentally forgot to eat.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like how many...
Not enough sleep.
People didn't sleep. Like how many like little arguments could have been avoided because somebody was hungry, or someone could have eaten, or someone is dehydrated and they don't realize it. So I just wanted to make that point.
If you're going to go on Facebook or anything like that, make sure you eat first, drink water, get sleep.
Be intentional about it, and maybe put a time limit too.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all sensitive beings, some more than others. And, if we don't take care of our bodies first, our temple, then we're not going to be able to help anybody else. And we're going to we're going to be susceptible to the adversary. We're going to be, we won't have that shield. We won't have that strength, behind us. The physical strength and the spiritual strength. So Make sure you're also reaching out to God and asking God to help you through the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Remember, we're talking to ourselves too. It's not like...
No, we're not trying to... We're telling you what works for us. I mean, we're
I need to
human.
remember
We mess
too.
up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Praying throughout the day, praying first thing in the morning. My pastor said the battle is spiritual. The real battle is
Yes.
spiritual. And when you get knocked down on your butt, it's going to be most likely because of a spiritual reason. You know, not so much a physical fight, but of course, you know, everything's possible, but more likely, the most likely thing to happen is it's going to be a spiritual thing. So putting on that full armor of God every single day.
And maybe we could talk another time more about that, like, because I just wanted to also add, say you're having a really good day and you're giving all this light and joy. Don't be surprised if the next day you feel absolutely lousy, and just be very weird, you know, be very aware and discerning, because that's usually the adversary trying to bring you down because you've been doing all this light work out there. So
that can happen.
So we just have to keep coming back to Jesus. That's the answer.
That's the answer right there.
Yeah.
That's the show. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with Lil Bird Jess and Miss Wellness Patriot today. Hope you got something out of it. Hope it was helpful. Let's talk in the comments. Let's build this community too. Tell us some things you do to connect with people. I want to know. Give me some tips, please. How do you connect? How do you find more warm social connections?
Yeah.
All right. See you soon.
Thank you.